Welcome to The Purpose and the Pivot, the podcast for women who know it's time for more. With your host, C. Renee McLain, career and life coach and champion for women navigating change with confidence and clarity. Each week, we'll have real conversations about career moves, life transitions, mindset shifts, and the power of redefining your purpose at every stage of life. Whether you're pivoting professionally, personally, or both, this is your space for guidance, growth, and grounded support. Let's dive in.
Welcome to The Purpose and the Pivot. Today's episode is Career Pivot Playbook.
Steps to changing direction gracefully.
Yes. Hello, let's get started. What are some of the signs that it's time for a career pivot? Let's talk about it. It could be a layoff. It could be a toxic environment. It could be a lack of interest or passion. It may be a taxing commute that you just don't want to do anymore. You may have found a new interest that you want to explore.
So what do you do?
Let's break it down. So say it's a layoff. This gives you a couple of options. You can continue with the same career, but just with a different company. And we've already talked about that in previous episodes, what you can do to move forward in that direction. And then you may want to pivot to a different industry utilizing your transferable skills. So let's talk about that for a few moments because, you can, for instance, if you're in human resources and you've worked in the insurance industry, you can utilize those human resources skills in finance, manufacturing, other industries that you may want to just transfer those to, education. Because in any position, any set of skills that you have, anything that you do on a regular basis, it's not just for that particular industry. So there are always going to be transferable skills that you can transfer to another position, to another industry. Okay? So maybe it's a toxic environment. Now, I will say this. Working in a toxic environment can wreak havoc in your life. Yeah. It can affect your health, your attitude, your outlook, your relationships, just to name a few things, right? So, how do you know when enough is enough? Well, have you gained or lost a significant amount of weight? Has your spouse, significant other, or your children told you your disposition is different? Do you have a woe is me, defeated mentality? These are signs that it may just be time to bust a move and do something different and get out of that environment and into a healthier and more fulfilling one. Yeah, those toxic environments can really be bad. They can really be bad. I've talked to a number of people who, were there, are there, and trying to get out of there. Okay. So that's a biggie. Yeah. Have you lost interest in or passion for what you do? Sometimes you can reach a point of burnout, like, for what you're doing. You might love it, but you just get to a point where you reach a point of burnout. For example, teaching. Now, I feel like teaching is a calling. I believe that teaching is certainly a calling. And especially in today's society, with how disrespectful some of the children or as well as their parents. Yeah. You may reach a point of burnout as a teacher, but you may still want to teach, right? But in a different capacity. So you might want to start teaching at the college level, or maybe, a university, or maybe a community college, or maybe even a tech school. So what you have to do is make sure that you have the proper credentials in order to do so, right? And then if you don't, look into what's required and then pursue it so that you have goals set for yourself, right? Maybe you want to work within a company in their learning and development department. That could be another option. So there are always, and I'm saying all this to say, transferable skills go a long way. Okay, so these are just some thoughts that come to mind. But I will tell you this: when you quiet yourself and meditate or reflect on what's going on and what you would like to be going on, it will help you to center yourself and then allow the creative juices to flow. Yeah. Maybe you like your current job, but the Atlanta traffic or the commute is just too much. I mean, if anybody is here in this Atlanta area, you know the traffic it's horrific. It is absolutely horrible. So what do you do if that's the case? You love your job. You're just sick of this traffic day in and day out. Well, maybe you could talk to your manager about a hybrid schedule if you are now going in 5 days a week. Maybe you can work a couple of days remote if this would be feasible for the type of work that you do. I don't know. And then maybe you already work a hybrid schedule. Maybe you can see if you can get an additional remote day. Find out if there's another office location that's closer to where you live. So these are just a few things to just try to think about if you really love what you do and where you do it. And then, it may just be time to look for another opportunity altogether, which is closer to home, where you won't have such a long commute, right? Whatever the situations may be in our lives, we have to learn how to handle the fear and the uncertainty, because that sometimes plays a part. We talk, the name of this podcast is The Purpose and the Pivot. And so we're going to be talking about different changes or pivots in our lives. And so, think about how we can pivot without fear, without the fear of doing something new or just something different. Now, I'm quite sure that you have heard these acronyms before for the word fear. I have two. One is false evidence appearing real. Yeah. False evidence appearing real. And then there's another one that I love. Face everything and rise. So here again, you have two options. If you're thinking of doing something different, if you're thinking of pivoting, you could be fearful where the false evidence appears real, I can't because this, that, and the other. Or you can face everything and rise, look at the reality of everything and be like, you know what? I can do this. I can do this. Yeah. Uncertainty of the unknown, it can be a bit daunting, it can. But you'll never know what you're capable of unless you try. You never know what you can do unless you try. And you'll never have what you don't pursue. Hello. Who am I talking to? Right? So trust me, I'm going to tell you a quick story about me when I decided to get my real estate license several years ago. I wondered how in the world, because the class, it was just a lot of information. Okay. I mean, a lot of information. And I'm thinking, what in the world am I going to do when I have to take this test and recall all of this information? Because anybody that has their real estate license, you know, it is not an open book test. You have to remember everything that you learned in order for you to pass this test. And I was a bit apprehensive, nervous, all of the things, right? Because I don't really consider myself to be a strong test taker. And then, to try to remember everything that I learned, and oh my God, the math, that's not a strength of mine. So I'm just like, OMG, how am I going to get through this? And so I will say this, the first time I took the test, I did not pass. I'm not ashamed to say it. I took the test. I did not pass. But notice, I did not say that I failed, because I didn't fail. I just didn't pass the test. Right? So guess what I did? I studied some more and I took the test again. Yeah. Determined in myself that I was going to pass this time, right? And if you know, whenever you have to take the test again, you have to pay to take the test again, right? So if you don't pass the test the first time, you have to take it again and you have to pay to take the test again. So the second time, I was determined that I was going to pass this test. I studied more. I just got down and with that math, because that's just, that was an area that I really needed to dig deep into. And so I did that, and so determined that I was going to pass. I don't even know what the grade was. But that second time when I took the test, I passed. Okay. I did pass. I don't know what my grade was. All I know is that I passed, and I was ecstatic that I passed. Okay. I told you I was determined within myself that I'm going to pass this test this time. And I did. And I was so excited. I left out of that place in the winter without my coat. But guess what? When I got outside, I remembered that it was wintertime, and I went back inside and I got my coat. Yeah, it does get cold in the wintertime here in Georgia. But I said all that to say, we never know what we're capable of unless we try. We never know what we can do and what we can obtain, unless we go after it. So that was something I wanted to do, and didn't pass the first time. Tried again. I passed the second time, and I am a licensed real estate agent in the state of Georgia. Yeah. So when you go for something new or something different, guess what? You will amaze yourself. Yeah, you will. Trust me. I'm a witness. Yes, yes, yes. So we're at that time. I'm going to give you homework. Oh, yeah. So this is going to be a clarity audit. Okay. It could be, you can think of it as a career pivot clarity audit, or a clarity audit for where you are right now in your life. Okay. So the first thing I want you to do, I want you to name the discomfort. So what feels misaligned in your current role, or in your career season, or just in your current season of where you are right now? So for instance, in naming the discomfort, what you're going to do is say, lately, I've been feeling blank. Because why? So lately, I've been feeling, I can't answer that for you. And then because, and whatever the reason is. The purpose of this is to bring awareness to the why behind your pivot. Okay? The second thing I want you to do is identify the trigger. Okay? So what event or realization or pattern made you start thinking about change? Is it burnout? Is it a lack of growth? Values misalignment. I recently saw on LinkedIn, because I'm on there a lot, that someone I'm connected with, and that was the reason why she left her job, because of values. It was a values misalignment. So could it be that? Could it be a desire for more impact? Right? The purpose of this is to distinguish between a bad week. Are you just having a bad week? Or is it a true pivot season? Is it time to bust a move? Okay. And then the next thing I want you to do is to take inventory of transferable strengths. Remember, we talked about that. Take inventory of transferable strengths. So list 3 skills or 3 strengths that you consistently use, regardless of the role or title. For example, it could be relationship building. It could be strategic thinking. It could be problem solving. And this is basically to reinforce that you are pivoting with assets and you're not starting from scratch. Okay? The next thing is define the direction. Define the direction, not the destination, just the direction right now. Okay? And instead of asking, what should I do next? Ask, what do I want more of in my next season? What do I want more of in my next season? Is it flexibility, perhaps? Is it impact? Is it peace? Is it creativity? Is it autonomy? What is it for you? And this helps you to shift focus from pressure to alignment, because you never want to do anything under pressure. When we do things under pressure, we don't tend to make the right decisions. Okay. So you want to shift that focus from pressure to alignment. Okay. The next thing is check readiness versus fear. In other words, what's holding you back right now? And be honest about it. Is it fear? Is it just timing? Is it finances? Is it confidence? External expectations, perhaps? And then just think about it like this. Is this a stop sign or just a speed bump? Because sometimes it just might be a speed bump where you just have to slow down, right? This helps you to separate wisdom from fear. Okay? And then one graceful step forward is what I want you to do. Take one graceful step forward. In other words, what is one small, non-overwhelming action that you can take in the next 7 days? Just one little non-overwhelming, one step that you can take in the next 7 days. For an example, could you update your LinkedIn headline? Maybe research a new role or industry. Schedule a clarity conversation with someone. Journal about your values. Or you can listen to another episode of The Purpose and the Pivot. But the purpose of this is movement without pressure. Okay? So one small, graceful step forward. And this is to help you with movement without pressure. Yeah. And then I want you to keep this in mind. A graceful pivot doesn't require a dramatic exit.
I'm going to repeat that again.
A graceful pivot does not require a dramatic exit. It starts with clarity, courage, and one intentional step forward. Okay? If you would like more information, feel free to contact us at McLain Enterprises LLC.com, or for a complimentary consultation, you can reach us at calendly.com/McLain Enterprises. That's our show for today. I am C. Renee McLain.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for tuning in to The Purpose and the Pivot. If today's episode encouraged or inspired you, be sure to follow the show and share it with another woman who's navigating her own transition. For coaching support or to connect with C. Renee McLain directly, visit McLain Career and Life Coaching or schedule a consultation using the link in the show notes. Remember, your purpose evolves and you have permission to pivot. Until next time.